What's up, everybody? Nick Brengle here, and this is going to be a Dehancer Film color grading little session from a couple of the shots from my previous video where I'm testing out various lenses on my new Blackmagic cinema camera 6K full frame open gate 3:2 BRAW 3:1 ratio full ProRes H.2.2 for it was A, B, C, D, F, G, all of the things. I'm giving it to you in the biggest possible formats, but I also, want to do the things that we've traditionally done here and walk you through color grading techniques and just the way that I achieve the look that I'm going for. We have a few clips. You've seen these if you watched the previous video doing the tests with the Sigma 24-70, the Canon FD lenses, the 24mm and the 50mm respectively. And so these are just a few shots that I picked out. I'm not sure which ones will actually color grade. I want to keep this as concise as I possibly can. I know that's difficult for me, and you want as much as you can get. So all of these shots were, the settings were as follows. Again, BRAW 3:1, open gate. What else? ISO 400. That's really the most important features. They were, were just recorded in the highest, possible quality. And then when I am exporting it out of Davinci Resolve, I am exporting it out in a ProRes 422 HQ file in the actual aspect ratio that it was taken in. So 6048 by 4032, I believe. I'm not bringing it down to 4K or a different aspect ratio. I'm not doing that. You are literally seeing it exactly how it is meant to be seen. And as far as the color goes, that's why we're here. So let's go ahead and start with the 35mm. Okay, so this shot is with the lighting was the UL 150, and then I had the aperture lantern, and it was just out of frame above her head, above my wife's head. And it had double diffusion, and I believe we're at like 70% power, and we were shooting, I don't know, it was probably like f3.8, f4, something in there. I could go look in the metadata, but yeah, roughly that's what it was. So again, really simple setup. The Pavo tube, I think it was a Pavo tube out of frame on the other side, just trying to give a really even look so that for color and for lens comparisons, you could feel that, in the image. I wasn't necessarily going for a cinematic look or anything like that. But so yeah, so that's what we have going on here. So again, Davinci Resolve, I highly recommend it. It is very intuitive. It has a little bit of a learning curve, but if you've used Adobe Premiere, you've used Final Cut Pro, or anything in between, you can learn this. Trust me, you can get it. As always, we start with nothing, blank, one node, and nothing else is going on. The first thing I like to do is just create a second node, because that's all we're going to use today is 2 nodes. We're not getting complicated with all kinds of power windows and things like that. So the first thing we'll do is, oh, by the way, Dehancer Film Emulation. That is what this is all about. We are color grading using the most powerful tool that you can possibly use when it comes to color grading, and that is, where is the shirt? Dehancer Film Emulation. I proudly promote this company. A lot of you already know that, but I have to repeat these things. And if you purchase Dehancer using the code below, it helps this channel out. Obviously, it puts a little bit into my pocket to be able to continue to make things like this. It's a lot of talking. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put on Dehancer Pro 7.2. Okay, now typically, yeah, when you throw it on, it has a couple of default things that we're going to turn off, which is the grain and one of the film profiles, but we don't deal with that right now. So we'll go up to our input, and we'll go to choose camera, we'll go to Blackmagic design, and then boom, it defaults to this camera, which I don't know if that's just how it is set up or that it knows which camera it is. Who's to say? It's magic, right? So when we put that on right away, I already love what we have. I could literally export it just like that and put it on YouTube, and it would be incredible. It would just be fine. But as you can see, if I'm looking at my scopes, it's a little underexposed. So we'll go back to our first node. We'll change our decode to clip because this was a raw video, so we can manipulate everything. So we'll bring up the exposure just a hair, just a little bit, okay? Just enough that we can see a little bit of her hair. It's not just completely crushed in the blacks yet, because I want to start with a little bit of a brighter image. And that's all we're going to do from that end. We don't need to change the tint. The color temperature is fine. And now we're going to go back to Dehancer. So in Dehancer, the first thing that I usually will do is go down to film compression when I'm dealing with like this window or anything like that. All you got to do is click enable. And what you'll see as I'm clicking that is, if you look at my computer monitor or if you look out into the window area, you'll see just a subtle diffusion, like a subtle density filter almost, that comes over the highs in those bright spots, and that actually helps to retain some of the skin tones, some of the color in your image where the sun was maybe too bright or a hot spot, something like that. It's not a foolproof thing, but it helps a lot, and it creates just kind of a smooth picture basically in those areas. So as you can see, like if you really look like in her forehead, like right here, it's just really subtle, but it does the trick. It does the trick. So we'll leave that. That's all you got to do there. That's it. You just click a button, and you can manipulate this if you need to, but we're not going to. Then we go down to our print. And this is where color density, I usually bring this up, fairly high. We'll bring it up to, let's say, 40, okay? And we'll leave that there. The tonal contrast, I won't bring in too much. We'll go like 3. Okay, and we'll leave that there. The tonal contrast I've talked about a lot. It's one of my favorite tools within Dehancer, and it gives it this texture, this image that kind of pops off the screen a little bit, and it makes it feel even more lifelike. Not that it already looks incredible, but tonal contrast helps to separate subjects within the image and just make it seem more lifelike and right there in the room with you wherever you're watching it, unless you're watching on your phone or something, which probably doesn't make a difference. But okay, so we'll leave that, and we'll go down to film grain. Now, I just love using film grain. Somebody commented on a video the other day that they thought there was a bunch of noise in an image, but it's just film grain. I like muddying up the footage just a tad. I like it to be sharp, but I also need it to have a little bit of that just soft feel. But in film grain, I mean, Dehancer's come so far over the years. We have so many options now. Like, look at this film grain. It's not just, hey, here's a slider and here's some film grain. 8 millimeter, 16 millimeter, 35 millimeter, 65 millimeter. And then within those, the different ISOs. So we'll go with 35 millimeter at ISO 50. We could go 250, but we want a little bit of a smaller grain. So when we turn that on, it's on the amount on 30. We get this cool slider already. And you could see like there's already, it's a decent amount of grain even at 30. I usually bring this down to, 15. We'll give it an odd 15. And we leave that. That's it. These other things that we can play around with, halation, bloom, film damage, film breathe, the gate weave. I'm not going to do any of that on this particular clip. But yeah, so here's this image. I mean, it's, without anything, and you'll be seeing this on the screen. I'll show you kind of the raw footage, and then I'll give you, the color graded version. Okay, so this shot was with the 50 millimeter Canon FD lens, which is like 40 years old, and it looks just incredible. So again, we'll kind of quickly get to where we need to go here. We'll add Dehancer. Well, again, we'll turn off these two things that are just auto enabled, and we will go ahead and pick our camera. Gen 5, everything there is fine. Again, I just clicked a few things and the image looks to me ready to go. I'm not even going to mess with the exposure on this one with the raw image. And this one, we're going to apply a profile and whatnot. So I don't know what profile. Sometimes I just like to play around. And we'll go AGFA. We'll kind of just, again, whatever kind of just catches my eye for what we're doing here. Cine still. Let's go with something that, you know, people just actually like. What about Ektar? We could go Ektar. Okay, let's go Kodak Ektar, and we're going to pull it. Well, yeah, we'll pull it all the way. Now, film compression will hit again, just like we talked about before. Look at the difference in the window. A huge little difference in the image, and it's really just for my eye. You may never even notice that, but it's those little things that can separate you from the other video or the other color grade or whatever. You know, it's just these little subtle things that help you to kind of build a process for being quick to color grade things and just see it immediately and be able to click these tools and move on, and not sit here and, you know, not be able to digest whatever it is you're trying to do, and then you get a stomach ache, and it's a whole metaphor that I don't really have an explanation for. So now we'll go down to our print again, and we'll do a little bit of tonal contrast. Again, not much. We'll give it a little color density. Okay. And we're going to give it some film grain, but we'll step it up this time. Yeah, we'll do 35. Oh, you know, it's a 50 mil. So let's go up to 65 and bump this up. I really like the 65 millimeter grain. It's really nice on here. Halation, we'll give it some bloom. We'll give it some 35 millimeter bloom. How about, okay, so we'll give it a little bit of bloom. We'll give it some film damage just because we can. We don't want any jitter though. We don't want any jitter, and we'll bring this down really low. So it won't be a whole lot of film damage, and that just adds like little hairs and dust and dirt and makes it look, you know, more like film. Film breathe, we'll just bring that in the middle. Gate weave will turn on, and we'll bring that down to about 50. Now, overscan's a really new tool that they implemented not very long ago, and as you'll see, what this does is it takes your frame and you can make it look like different types of film. So you have Super 8, 16, 35, widescreen, you got Ultra Panavision, and you see what it does. It's kind of interesting. And this is very particular, of course, for, you know, this is a project that maybe this is what you want it to look like. You could do standard, and you can change all this stuff, the perforation mode, film orientation. You can do all these things. You can scale this out, offset the image to throw it off. You know, we're not going to keep that on, but it just kind of show you, you know, what it is. And actually, I don't know. Yeah, it will. Okay, so let's bring this down. Hold on. Let me pick the Super 8 one. Now you'll see how you get the little, it's moving. It kind of has that film feel. Not kind of, it is that real, you know, this is real scans of actual film. So vignetting, we don't really need, I don't think. Yeah. And then the last thing I'm going to do for this shot is I'm going to add one more node. Okay. And I normally don't do this, but we're going to go to sharpen. Okay. And we're going to bring in sharpen. Now, obviously right off the bat, that's terrible. We don't want that. But we're going to bring this down, and we'll bring it up just a tad, just a little bit of sharpness over that soft cinematic look, just a little bit of sharpness. And again, I don't really know what I'm doing. I just know what it is that I want, and I know how to get that image to where it is that I like to watch it and see it, and hopefully that translates to your eyes as well. So, so yeah, that's really it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, you want to see more, maybe more detail, maybe a live stream where I can answer questions while we're walking through footage, we could definitely do that. So let me know if you have never been to my channel and this was the first video that you stumbled upon. Go watch some of my other content. Consider subscribing, at least hit the like button, say hi down below, and go check out Dehancer if you haven't yet, because it is absolutely worth it. It's available on Final Cut, Adobe Premiere. There's a mobile app. I mean, it's very accessible, and even for photographers, it's not just for video editing and color grading. So yeah, that's really it. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, whether it's the morning, whether it's afternoon, evening, you're in bed, whatever. Enjoy it, and yeah, go create something. All right. Okay. All right.